1903, the first official Ghanaian soccer club was founded. It had the name Cape Coast Excelsior, and in 1920, the British introduced its formal competition. Now Ghana is seen as one of the greatest countries in the footballing world and has produced some of the greatest players in the continent. In the likes of Abedi Pele, Osei Kufuor, Tony Yeboah, Odate Lamte, and many others, aside individual political differences, it is football that unites the nation of Ghana. This week in our documentary on Ghanaian football, we have had a chance to interview some of the seasoned sports journalists in the country from various media outlets as they share their stories on Ghanaian football. Benjamin Willie Graham is with 14 years experience in journalism. He's a senior operations officer and editor at the sports office of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. In addition to being a sports commentator at state-owned Ghana Television and just ended AFCON 2019, the sports journalist has also worked on FIFA World Cups 2010, 2014 and others as a radio commentator for the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and the 2012 London Olympic Games. He has also worked with seasoned commentators like Barry Lambert, Paul Dempsey and Steve Vickers from Fox Sports Africa. After sourcing information from all these great sports personalities, we've realized how much football has evolved in Africa as a whole, and specifically within the Ghanaian community.
I've been in the industry for the last 16 years or so. Started somewhere in 2003 in Cape Coast with GBC Radio Central. So I'll say it's been a long journey for me in this industry. Well, I would say that it's a passion. It's something I've always loved to be part of. In fact, it really grew back in JHS. I used to play for my school, and then of course when I moved to the high school, I was more or less closer to the school team and had the opportunity of also knowing some of the players, being in class with them. So I developed that habit, or perhaps the love for football, and so since then I've always wanted to be talking about it or writing about it. That's a huge one. Football in Ghana, I would say, that has really grown at some point in time and also retrogressed a little bit. It depends on the areas we need to look at. Probably marketing, we have to also look at development and maybe also look at branding, because these are key areas that I would say that we have not focused our attention on. Let's go back into somewhere the late or early 90s. It didn't have the marketing strategies, it didn't have the branding, but the passion was there for most people to see. Again, football wasn't really on TV at the time. Everybody wanted to be part of the game live from the stadium, from Secondia Zakes, Levin Wise, Bofoka Tano, Dewi Youngsters, Accra Hearts of Folk and the rest. Those are traditional clubs with people who always wanted to be part of it. They also produced quality players, even though not all of them, but some of them did have the opportunity of playing for the Black Stars. Then after we moved to the millennial years, where now technology also took over football and business was also developed into the game, I think that we didn't necessarily look at that area. And so we would say that it's been a topsy-turvy event in terms of football in the country. It hasn't really lived to maybe the expectation a lot of people wanted to have. Ghana football now, I would say, has grown. 20 years ago, as I did indicate, we didn't have a lot of marketing strategies. We didn't have a lot of branding in the football. Our players were playing outside as well, but unfortunately, not every Ghanaian had the opportunity of also knowing them and perhaps talking about them. Now, in the millennial years, we have seen a lot of technology. We've seen the proliferation of a lot of media institutions. We've seen the internet also buzzing with a lot of information about how Ghanaian players are preferring. And so players are aware that they can play in different clubs outside, and we talked about in Ghana. And so it also gave room for a lot of young players who were playing locally to also aspire to also move outside the country. And so I would say again, that Ghana football locally, we've seen a little bit of an improvement, but not the best that every Ghanaian wanted to have. The national teams have also seen a lot of some changes in terms of how they are branded, in terms of how players are clamoring to play for national team, other than those times when it's like a privileged few had it. So we have gone at a certain level, but not 100% where we want to be, because there's a lot of gaps that we have. And those gaps are as a result of the fact that we still have issues with marketing. And that has not helped us. We still have issues with, live telecasts of our football matches locally. And so it doesn't necessarily produce the sort of result that we want. So I think that 20 years ago, it was passion that drove people to love football. Now, 20 years after, it is no more passion. It is rather the business aspect of football that is driving people to love it. So we have to distinguish between the two facts. Government's support for football in terms of budget allocation, I would say that yes, it has grown. Once again, it's increased from what it used to be then. I would tell you that years back when the national team didn't even have a jersey, and it was one of the big issues that the country had. And now we've seen Puma come in to sponsor the Black Stars, and that also trickles down to some of the national teams and perhaps their junior ones. The allocation, yes, if you look at it, it appears that we can only talk about one area, and it has to do with the fact that yes, the national team seems to be enjoying the chunk of the cake. And locally, it's been one issue that the FA has been trying to deal with. And why is it so? Because there's something fundamentally which is wrong, which has not also helped us. We've talked about the sports bill. Now, the sports bill, which has not been passed, is one area that is preventing corporate institutions to also come and augment what government has. Because then if you do it, you need to be compensated necessarily what you have that the government will seek to help you with it. So I would say that the sport bill is also creating some bit of a big gap for us. And I believe that government can do it bit to a certain level, but cannot do everything. That is how come the local league is struggling to garner sponsorship deals. That's how come we're also having a lot of issues with clubs not able to get sponsorship deals for themselves that would, cater for them to even qualify and play in a CAF sponsored competition. So government sponsorship has not been that enough, but at least I would say that it's better than it used to be in the past. I have had issues with the way our local league is being promoted and being run. I've said this, that if you look elsewhere, some years ago, and let me even retrace this particular fact, we had managers of our league go to Germany and South Africa with the idea of learning their management style. And they came home with reports of how the PSL is being managed and how the German Bundesliga is also being managed. They came home with nothing. And the report never materialized into anything that would say has worked for us. We have a peculiar situation, and our peculiar situation is that we don't have enough facilities in terms of stadium to deal with the situation that we have. Majority of the clubs are playing in the, I wouldn't say that hitherto, let me just say that a training ground pitch, which of course we classify as a facility for a Premier League competition, and therefore it does not also look pretty much attractive on TV, because remember SuperSport came on board, Metro TV, all of them tried. What you see on TV sometimes takes away the shine. In fact, let me also make a point that we were here in this country when Rush decided to advertise in the English Premier League, which became a big issue in the country as to why Rush will move to the EPL and not Ghana. And they had a reason. They said that if in the mileage they would get over there would trickle their profit margin than you've been doing it in Ghana. So we have not necessarily, branded and marketed our league in such a way that would help. Those are the FA, yes, I would say, and I'll miss no words, it's more of administrative work that they're doing. But in terms of the big work that has to be done by way of going out there and looking at the best practices that can help us propel the league forward, we are not doing that. And that's the reason we are where we are. I think that people who have the professional know-how, people really have the managerial acumen to say that, okay, we want to push the league from this level to that level, must be given a chance. Not necessarily people who are fanatics or people who simply say they have football clubs or perhaps they can report on football. They should be given the opportunity. How do we push the league forward? I think that some may be saying that they're trying their best to get it, but corporate world is not interested, because we are also not helping ourselves by way of pushing the clubs or perhaps the club owners to change from what they used to do in the past to something more new. And so we are where we are because we are not really forthright or forthcoming with innovative ideas to help us, and I don't think that we have done enough. areas you need to look out for. Why is Madagascar coming up? It's because of the fundamentals. Get the fundamentals right, and you definitely don't have issues. Because the base must be very strong. And then when your base is strong, you can then move to the next level. We have a local league. We have players in there. We have a pool of them. We have the local Black Stars. We have the satellite. We have the Meteors. How strong is the base there to think of moving to the next level of the Black Stars? So we need to strengthen our local league first. We need to make sure that it is attractive. You need to make sure that the players who are applying their trade in there are well taken care of. Then if you are playing the national team, the pride that comes with it would push the rest to also be part of it. So Madagascar came into the AFCON with a certain mindset, and they got the support from the government, because the government then said that, listen, you have to make sure that this season or this AFCON we are there. What is the motivation? And I've said this time without number, that money should not be the real motivation for most of our players, or perhaps the national teams. Remember, Zambia won the AFCON not because of monetary motivation. It was something else. The players pushed and said that we want to do this for our country, and they did that. Cote d'Ivoire did the same, beat us at the final and won the AFCON because the players resolved that, listen, we can do this. So it depends on how we are able to motivate the players. So let's get the base right, and that's very important. Again, why would players or somebody decide to, play for the national team, or perhaps want to stay in Ghana and play for a club like Kotoko, Hartlepool, and not want to play outside? Is because then the economy must be that buoyant to take care of those clubs and the players. If a player is earning 150 cedis a month, what do you expect the player to do? If I'm a family member and the player says I have a contract in Kazakhstan, I'll ask you to go, because then you probably are going to make $2,000 a month. So the economy in the country is not also helping our football to develop, because it appears that we're shifting up. The production aspect of our economy is also not helping us. So you're playing in the club is because you have a passion, but how much money you're going to take home, you don't want to talk about it. And so we need to also strengthen that aspect. We need to also regulate the number of clubs we have in the country. I think that anybody at all gets up and says, I'm forming a club. And then at the end of the day, people rush and say, I want to play for the club. When you ask the person, how much are you paying the players? If they tell you, you want to weep. So we need to also have a certain regulation. You can't just get up and then form a football club because you have money. You need to have certain basic things. Basic things that will ensure that you are paying a player at this rate. If you can't pay the player at that rate, forget it. So we know that if we have 16, 20 good clubs who are paying their players well, there'll be competition. There'll be individuals who will love to move into those clubs. The clubs will also have a lot of financial strength coming in, than to have about thousands or whatever clubs, and yet we can't even get the players staying in the country to play for them. You see, when we look at the patronage of our league, I said something early on, and this is what I said. We moved into a certain era, which was called the millennium or the millennial era, where technology, media power grew. The youth at the time are exposed to so many alternatives. Therefore, when you want to have the same number, you are not going to have it, because today I can sit in my home and know the result of a game. Today I can decide to watch on the internet highlights of matches. So why would I want to be at the stadium in the blazing heat of the sun to watch a football game? I'm not going to do that. So the clubs also needed to also create an avenue how to also take advantage of the millennium year era, or the technological growth, to market their clubs. Today there's something we call digital marketing, where Facebook, Twitter, and the rest are playing a key role in helping fans who obviously may not have the opportunity to go and watch. Yet again, clubs at the time were riding at the back of some exclusive players. Dombote, Charles Taylors, Ablade Kumes, you can talk about Joe Ochris and the rest, for different reasons, because those were players who were driving the clubs. Today, because we are in the millennial era, and because they know that there's no money in the league, they are no more interested in staying in the Ghana league for more than a year or two. They want to move up and make money, because if a colleague of theirs moves to Iraq and comes home to build 5-bedroom house, why would I also want to go to the same Iraq and come home and build the same 5-bedroom house? A player like Stephen Odro spent all his lifetime with Kumasi Asante Kotoko. At the point, moved to Santos in South Africa and came back. Because he was comfortable in Kumasi, and because Kotoko as a club decided to take care of him, he was able to achieve a lot of things that his colleagues who are in abroad, could achieve. So it depends on a change of mindset, and say that, listen, our exclusive players, if it's $100,000 that you're going to go outside, I can decide to give you equivalent of that. Would you want to stay and play? Because the player needs comfort. So if a player needs comfort, a player in Ghana after a league season can decide that, listen, I'm going on holidays with my family in the Bahamas because I'm being paid well. So you need to create that avenue for players to feel good and say that, oh, I can also go on holidays in Nigeria or other places with my family. So clubs failed to also follow the millennium era changes, and that is where we are. Coming to the stadium to watch a game is a recreation. It is no more a want for many people. I want to go to the stadium to go and watch a game because it's a Sunday, I've eaten my fufu, I'm tired, I'm bored at home, I just want to go and watch football. But it is not a decision that says, hey, Hearts of Oak or Kotoko is playing, or my club, I want to go and watch this player or that player. But I just want to go and sit down there and relax with my friends and get out of the boredom. This is how Ghanaian fans are now thinking. So what are clubs doing? Nothing. Because they feel that it is, the responsibility of the fan to always be at the stadium. The other thing I've said is that we don't have a good corporate social responsibility system or structures for the clubs. If a club is born in a particular community, say Hearts of Oak in Accra, how have the people of Accra, benefited from Accra Hearts of Oak? Go to Kumasi Asante Kotoko. The people of Kumasi, what have they really benefited from the club? As in the club putting together a certain facility or perhaps a certain structure or policy. If you mention Man United or Arsenal, they go to children's home, they go to special schools, they do paintings with the kids. Christmas, they go and donate toys and the rest to the special kids and the rest. Ask yourself, how many of our clubs have had that policy to say that, oh, we are going to maybe a Confanoche accident ward, we are going to take care of those who are there, or we are moving to the children's home at Kolebu, we are going to donate some items to the kids, or we are moving to a particular home of a family who are in distress. What are we going to do? Let me give you a typical example. We had a June 3rd disaster here in Accra. The clubs in Accra did not come together to say that we are also going to support the victims. None. Or there's flooding in Kumasi, or there's a fire outbreak in Kumasi, where the players of Kotoko and management will say that we are going there to sympathize with the victims. None. These are corporate social responsibility things that when you put together, you would have people coming to the stadium because they are benefiting directly from the club. But if you don't have these things, I don't see why I should waste my time and come to the stadium and watch a game. Because those clubs outside, this is what they do for the community. So the community feel they are also part of the club. And so they will come every Sunday, every midweek to come and watch, because they know that even if they are stuck in traffic, the club can institute something to transport them back home. This is how we must think. Football has grown from the traditional way of behavior to a business, because whilst you take care of the fan will also take care of you. It's as simple as that. We have a lot of talent in the country. Talent is in abundance in this country. But you see, you can't eat talent. What you need to do is to ensure that you harness the development of the talent. But we have limited ourselves in a certain structure that you can have the talent, but you can't have access to a national team, because your access to a national team must be dependent on a certain agent that you have or manager that you have. Because hitherto, we used to have a situation where we say, oh, we've given a coach, opportunity to coach under 20 or something like that, and this person, travels the length and breadth of the country in search of talent and selects them for the national team. Then after that, we hear that, oh, we have some talent in the UK, Ghanaian-born players out there. We go and bring them to augment the squad that they have. Before you realize, a lot of local players are chopped out, and those guys come in. So we have a problem. And the problem we have is that we don't have one infrastructure or facilities to accommodate the talent that we have. Let's go to Senegal. You have the likes of, Pachi Vieira, setting up academy. You have a lot of, Patrice Evra, some of these guys who have gone back home to give back to society by way of setting up academies. Especially Senegal, I would say. A lot of those French-born, African players in the French national team, they've set up a lot of academies there, so they have lots of them in there. Come to Ghana, how many academies do we have? Very well, developed academies that would say that we are taking all those talents. And even the clubs that we have, the Division 1s and 2s, ask yourself, what are the facilities that they have to take care of the talent? So, as for talent, we have them in abundance, but we don't have the necessary facilities to help develop the talent. That's how come a player gets up, plays 1, 2, 3, the next moment you hear them play outside. The last time they did a research came, they said that Ghana is one country that has a lot of players outside the shores of the country. We are ranked, I think, number 1 or so. And it should tell you a story that every Ghanaian player wants to leave the shores of the country because they see that there's no future for them. You can play and play and play and play. You can spend your fortune in the country. You might not even have money to buy a football boot if you're not careful. So I would rather go and play in Malta. I'd rather go and play in the very remotest of all countries. I'd rather go and play in Bangladesh, play and make my money and come home. I prefer to go there because if I'm going to make my $1,005 or $2,000, why would I stay in Ghana and earn 50 Ghana cedis or 60 Ghana cedis? So these are the issues that we have. These are the major problems we have in the country. So can we change that again? Some players go to AFCON with minimal, half or even quarter of what we have. They come home with a result. And yet we still go with money and we come home with nothing. So for us to get our name back, it's not about giving the players the best of money. No. It's about letting the players know why they are going to that mission and what they want to come out from the mission with. If your mission statement is correct, that's what you fight for. If you have a vision statement, that gives you an idea of where you want to go in the next couple of years. You have it. Let's ask ourselves, the Black Stars, do we have a mission statement for the Black Stars? Do we have a vision statement for the Black Stars? Then, when you have that, you incorporate that into the minds of the players. This is our mission as a national team. This is our vision as a national team. This is what we want to achieve. In the next 10, 15 years, we should be at the final of the World Cup, or we should come home with AFCON. So from the time that we lost the last AFCON, we are incorporating that mindset in the players. Any AFCON we go, it still rings in the mind that we have a vision and our vision is to do this. But we just can't sit home and say, with 37 years we want to win AFCON, so this year we are going to. Who said so? It doesn't work. It's not rocket science. It's planning. That's all. I mean, we have different national teams. We have the Meteors. We have the local Black Stars now, who are going to play in the WAFU. These players, when they are playing, they quickly tell you. In fact, we did the WAFU in 2017. We saw a lot of players, both for Kobners, Atingas, Amos Frimpongs, Thomas Abes and the rest. Safo, the top scorer of the competition. They were all there. The national team coaches were there. They watched them. Immediately we finished the tournament, the players left the shores of the country because they knew that they were not still going to have a call-up the national team. Some get the call-up, they don't even play, and they get out. So it's not about the fact that we don't have the players. We do. but we have not motivated them enough to think that they still have a place in the national team. I recall a story that a friend of mine in Nigeria told me. He said, listen, when the late Stephen Keshi was the head coach of the Super Eagles, he built a certain confidence in the players that even in friendly matches, the local players would play and the foreign players would sit down. Because before the foreign players came, the local players were already in camp. So he will tell you that, listen, whatever he's doing in Chelsea, you are also doing it here in Nigeria. He's nobody. You can be better than him. It's just an opportunity he's had, and this is your opportunity, take it. What happened in 2013? It was the local players who won the AFCON for Nigeria because of the confidence you have in them. So if a local player is starting and a foreign player is sitting down, what happens? It tells you that you can be better and you can do it. This is how we need to build the confidence in the players. If we do that, I'm telling you, we're going to have a lot of local players now fighting, because then the coaches have already given them an idea of who they are, what they can do. Because now, if you look at the Black Stars, any local player who gets a call up knows that, listen, I'm not going to play. Even if I go, I won't play. So let me go and get the money and get out. Because that is what they will tell you. Oh, Konwa Mbokra, it's okay, just sit there, you get your money. So it's not about playing, it's about making the money. But if you really want to have the local players playing a part in a national success, this is what you do. Patriotism is from individuals. I want to patriotic my country because I love my country. Whatever bonus that comes out of it is as a result of your achievement. The players are Ghanaians and they will continue to be Ghanaians. What will make them patriotic depends on what the leaders do. It is the leaders who must let the players understand that, listen, we don't have the money, but we are going to this competition. It's either you are in or you are out. But if we make the players feel that, listen, we cannot do without them, it becomes a big problem. But in certain jurisdiction, it's either you are in or you are out. Take it or leave it. Let the players know. You can decide not to play. There will be somebody to play. If you put it blunt to the players, that this is the jersey. If you think that you are patriotic enough to wear the jersey, this is it. I'm not giving you the money. Until we are done with the mission, no money is coming. This is the jersey. If you can, pick it. If you cannot, leave it. There you know which of the players are patriotic or not. But if you leave it bluntly open like that, oh, please come and play. I want to give you money, but you see, the money, listen, it doesn't work. It's not rocket science. Put it blunt. I need to have a leader. I need to see that leader who will tell the players in the face. It's either you wear it or you don't wear it. If you don't wear it, just get out. I can get somebody to wear it. And if I move to Kotoko, or I move to Heart and I call a player, just like Atiku Efio did when he took Heart of all players to play in Nigeria. This is a team. You want to play for national team? Yes. This is the jersey. Take it. Let's go. Even if you go and we fail, we are proud that we are Ghanaians. At least we did something. Case closed. I think that this is how we must begin to teach a certain morale of patriotism in our team. With this attitude that we have now, I don't think we can go anywhere.
Beyond the pitch, we watch and appreciate the game differently. We capture the emotions and the memories. We tell you the history of your favorite clubs. This is our culture and our story. This is football, and it's Beyond the Pitch. Follow us on all our social media handles. Facebook, Beyond the Pitch. Twitter, Beyond the _pitch. Instagram, Beyond_the_pitch. YouTube, Beyond the Pitch. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss another episode. That will be all for today. Join us next time for your favorite football show. This has been Beyond the Pitch.